Good evening, everybody, and welcome to today's web chat. And although we are using Zoom and we're in the virtual environment, it's a chat about a time before all of this. We are going back to the pre-internet, pre-social media era, when life to some seemed simpler, but to others was a lot more difficult and more challenging. In the 70s and 80s, when we were growing up as teenagers, there were a lot of things which just sort of vanished from that point on. So things like your rotary dial telephone is gone, your telex is gone, night soil collectors have gone.
Hold on. I cannot hear you. What's the number again?
Well, okay, Seetoh's got his phone still and it still operates, right?
Again?
Black and white TV is also not there. Okay, so you can get a sense of what the tone of today's session is going to be like. We've got funny guys in the room and people with a lot of wonderful memories. So let me just very quickly introduce them to you before we start the session, which is going to be just an open sort of chit chat. And feel free to ask your questions as well as you go along. So the reason this session took place is because Adrian Tan, close friend, longtime friend, and the author of the teenage textbook, the book he wrote when he was 20, so that was like 5 years ago, right? And it was made into a movie, and it's now going to be made into a TV series, which is going to start on March the 2nd on Channel 5. So, but the TV series is updated. It's set in today's era, and as Adrian and I were talking, we were saying it's a pity. It's good to try and get a sense of what has been lost in that time. So we said, okay, let's do this. So we decided to pull together a bunch of you guys who are also from that same era to swap memories and share memories. So Adrian's here with us, and we've got KF Seetoh, who's with the Straits Times, who is a photographer of renown, and used to work with us in the magazines before he started Makansutra.
Straits Times, not SPH.
Yes, Straits Times. Me too, also Straits Times. Shirley also Straits Times. Okay. So we've got, and of course, Seetoh is known for his hawker fascination, right, and preserving the hawker culture. So there's a lot of food for thought there. Then we've got Patricia Chew, who's a lawyer and an author of children's books, the Tony Tapir series. And Patricia was very concerned that she didn't know very many people in this session, but I think after this she'll be fine. We've got Shirley Tan. Shirley is a former sports journalist with the Straits Times, not SPH, and is now a literacy skills coach. And how many kids do you have, Shirley?
I have two. I have a son who is 32 and a daughter who is 27.
Wow, quite old. Wow, okay.
And older than me when I first knew her.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, it's probably the same for all of us. Anyway, let me just complete. We've got Charlene. Charlene is a baby in this group. And she's got a very different sort of growing experience, according to her, very sheltered. We shall find out soon enough. And she runs Volt at 268, which is high-tech safe deposit set up on Orchard Road. Yeah. So welcome everybody to today's session. I must start off by saying, Stephen, sorry, I miss you.
Oh, hello.
And I thought you would be asleep. Sorry. Yes, Stephen Krempl, thank you for getting up at 4 a.m. to be here. I should for neglecting to mention you at the start as the first person. With his cup of coffee, Stephen and I used to be the scene shifters, right? That's when I met you, performing in plays, and then he's a corporate man with the Yum Foods, and now he has his own setup. Does a lot of training, coaching. He's an author. So in our midst today, we have three authors: Patricia, you're an author; Adrian, Stephen. Seetoh, you got a book or not?
No.
No, not yet. Okay. Shirley, are you an author as well? Shirley is also an author. Okay. And Charlene, we've written compositions, right?
Yeah.
Author means no Singlish. That means I fail lah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. But Seetoh, has worked with me on a lot of my earlier books that were commissioned. So,
Ah.
Oh yeah,
remember?
we did quite a bit of book.
Yeah,
I inked
you were
the
a
Makansutra.
trailblazer, you know, in your photography. So thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I think some of your shots are excellent. Yeah.
I stopped photography when some bloody idiot invented digital photography and Photoshop. Now then, overnight butchers became wedding photographers and taxi drivers. I give up. I give up. I'm going to eat and tell stories better.
So that's what I wanted to ask, because you'll make a distinction between Straits Times and SPH. And growing up in the 70s and in the 80s, Straits Times was basically the only thing I knew about the world. That's sitting in my HDB flat. There's no internet. Last time it was RTV. Do you remember the
RTS?
RTS. So you sit there at 9 o'clock or something. There'll be this radio clock that will take to
Norman Lim will come on. Norman Lim will come on.
Norman Lim.
Norman,
yes, and he would give me the news, and the rest of the news I got from Straits Times. So, and at the time I knew Kanan Chandran because he wrote TV reviews. I think in those days, apparently we can't watch TV on our own until Kanan says this is
worth watching.
Worth watching.
Kanan is the most famous non-graduate in Singapore then.
Yes.
No thanks to Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, right?
Yes. Good old Harry did it.
Tell the story, man.
Yes. Okay, I suppose that would be one of the things to talk about that era, right? It was how the press was being used to tell the stories of the leadership, and how it was such that if you didn't follow that line, then you could find yourself in all kinds of sticky situations. So in my case, it was, I think, the 25th anniversary of Singapore, and there was a series of documentaries that were commissioned, and I, being the TV reviewer, watched these and gave my fair opinion, which I said, look, this as a product was good, as a TV show it was good. I didn't have any sort of emotional gravitas, and I didn't feel for it that way. So a day or so after that in Parliament, suddenly they said, "Who is this Kanan Chandran?" Lee Kuan Yew is asking. I wanted to find out more, waving my file in Parliament and everything. Okay, fine. You know, so it's one of those things where, well, it didn't deter me. Obviously, I'm still doing all this, but it's one of those things which is, I suppose, one way of showing where the power lies, and you could in that time. Of course, now with social media and the internet, the power lies in so many different fronts. It's a much more difficult place to control. Yeah.
Did you attempt to carry on?
Oh, okay. So I was just thinking there was a time where Straits Times mattered. I'm sorry to put it like that, but where what you wrote in the Straits Times had some significance. I was going to say unlike today, because pre-internet, our opinion is all shaped by just one English newspaper. I'm not sure if Business Times was there, but
it was.
It was. And New Nation or Singapore Monitor or something like that.
Both
of them were there.
The New Nation. Then the New Nation, I think, was gagged as well, wasn't it? If I'm not wrong. Yeah. They had the New Nation. I remember that.
New Nation had to team up with Singapore Monitor, right?
Monitor, yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And then they became the new paper, is it?
Subsequently, the new paper came out.
I was from the original New Nation. We had to give up our title so that the Singapore Monitor could start. And 5 years after Singapore Monitor started, its backers said that it wasn't making money, and then it wanted to close it, which actually got a lot of us from the original New Nation really, really upset, because we gave up a title, and 5 years later they were going to close it. You know, it was such a pity. And then came Singapore Monitor, and then years later, the new paper came out.
So New Nation was our staple for young boys like me.
Yeah.
who followed football and the Malaysia
Yes.
Cup.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Malaysia Cup, that's right.
Shirley used to
Kim
write
Jong,
for the
yeah.
sports. She used
Yes,
to write-
I covered the Malaysia Cup.
And that had a meaning in those days, and I think it's irreplaceable. That's one of those memories I have from 70s and 80s, going to the National Stadium,
Yeah.
Jalan Besar Stadium, all
Mm.
gone now.
I think those days where you talk about patriotism, that was, I think, the high. Though. I mean, one of the saddest things I think I felt was when they actually decided to pull out of the Malaysia Cup. I think, what were they thinking, though? Right? Yes, there was a whole, our own league and stuff, but the Malaysia Cup was the epitome of, playing against Penang or, playing against KL or, you look forward to those games going to the national stadium, though, right?
You could name
Yeah.
the entire team back in the
That's
day.
right.
Oh,
From
now I
Eric
don't
Payne to,
Ibi Singh,
Raja
Kim
Gopal
Song,
to,
Lee Sing,
Kim
yeah.
Song, yeah, exactly.
Raja
Even
Gopal.
today, now you mention it, the name just keep coming back, right?
and
Yeah.
each of those
Madri,
players had a certain character.
Do you remember that was the call? You will always
Sorry,
have
sorry, could you repeat that call again, Shirley? Because there were too many people talking.
drink, curry pap. What? Oh no,
Kwachi,
drink,
kwachi.
curry pap,
Kwachi.
keropok, cigarette. Yes, the four things
Yeah.
he was saying.
Oh, cigarettes.
Yes,
Yeah,
cigarettes.
well, they were allowed back then.
Yeah, back then. Yeah.
And
So, even as we chat like this, what are the things that you miss from that era as you're living life today?
well, I did want to take up Stephen's point that was real patriotism. So the old Malaysia Cup was a microcosm of Singapore because it had Eurasians, Indians, Malays, and Chinese. And this was before we were allowed to import Australians and other people. So when the Singapore team went out to play a Malaysian state, of course, it's our team, it represents us. And we were prepared to queue up for hours or even nights beforehand. And I do miss that because today when our team plays football, I doubt if anyone's even remotely interested.
Do we even know when the team is playing?
Can you even name one player? Two players?
Yeah, exactly.
One is already very difficult. Imagine
Correct,
two.
correct.
Cannot.
Exactly.
I can name you Irfan. I can name you Iksan. Fundi's
Hey.
boys.
Fundy's kids, yeah, Fundy's
Do
boys.
they play in the national team? I thought they were
Yeah,
playing
they're both are in
overseas or
national team.
something.
Yeah, they are.
They're both.
They're playing professional overseas, but when Singapore needs them, Singapore will call them back. Will at least consider calling them back.
Yeah, they have the Fundy lineage. Besides that, Kosong, we don't know who.
Yeah, goes on.
I just think about the food that I miss from that era. So, from the 70s, 80s, when I was growing up, there was, for example, kway chap. So, kway chap I don't know how to interpret what kway chap is, but it's probably illegal today. And it's got coagulated pig's blood and all kinds
It's
of
the innards, right?
And
Yeah, all in it.
yeah, and there's a lot of food that's disappeared.
Still around, right? Those are still around, right?
No,
Except
no
pig's
more.
blood, lah. No more
The
blood,
pig's
lah.
blood is illegal.
Yeah, the blood is not allowed. What about the brain, the pig brain?
Oh,
You know,
right.
it wasn't originally found in kway chap. Pig brains was a stew. You do it as a soup, but it's never in kway chap.
Yeah.
I miss those.
Actually, talking about food, the thing I miss, Chandran, was in Senate Estate, right? I used to live there. I knew what time it was by which hawker was passing the house. So that if the me man will come here, talk, 1 o'clock now, right? The Roja will shout, Roja, 3 o'clock now, right? And then ting, early in the morning, 6:30, the Putumayam fella will come, right? So the whole day was actually determined by food, though, the type of food, right? And the hawker that was hawking around, though. It was amazing those days, right?
Yeah.
Hang out at Satay Club.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
I think
satay
the
eating
whole Satay
competitions.
Club, right?
Yeah, I miss the Satay Club.
So the
The
old
original Satay Club.
Yeah, the one in front of Padang, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The old satay club, back in the day, you go there, you order, say, 50 pieces, right? And then you eat. And then people will count how many sticks you ate, right?
Yeah.
People will start throwing the sticks and throwing to the butchers. They say, no, I ate only 10, no? So later on, these hawkers became smart. They will give you a 50 pieces and they'll say, you count now 50 pieces, okay? At the end, I'll count how much is left. So they knew how much you eat. So they went the other way around. So you can't throw sticks anymore. So yeah, those were the fun days.
When I listed down all the things I did, I suddenly realized I had no time to do anything else. I had no time, if I put myself today, right, if what I did back then, I got no time for the internet though. I had so many activities from school to church to ECA to the stuff I was doing at home with my friends. Taking 111 bus down to Orchard Road to go down to the hawkers. Remember there used to be that all the hawkers were in front of a cold storage or something, that big open car park there, right? Where, yeah. So it was just totally amazing though. Let alone scene shifters, which took 2 nights every week for the whole year, right? Because we put 2 shows on though. So I mean it was quite amazing. No wonder I didn't do so well in school, because I was doing everything else other than studies. I did put tuition there, for a couple
But
of.
I think given if you were in today's context, you will still find a lot of excuses not to do schoolwork, right? I think that's our makeup. That's the way it is. But can we get away with it, which we could back then?
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, you couldn't study or you became a hawker, right? Nowadays, no. Graduate from poly, then you go for a hawker course. Recently, I just heard that actually I just heard from the sources, some kids actually enrolled for a 1-year hawker course after graduating from poly.
Wow.
I tell you.
Really?
Yeah.
Nowadays,
So-
if you study, you get a master's, you can drive Grab.
Well, being recognized by UNESCO is a big thing,
Yeah, it is. People don't know how big it really is.
Yeah, it really is.
It is. Especially when things reopen, people no longer ask about where to eat. They say, what is all this UNESCO nonsense about? They'll find out more and more stories. Then they realize, wow, it's a very, very deep story. And our hawker culture came, back in our day, we don't go to hawker centers. We go Bugis Street. Remember, we go Sarabat store.
Oh, yeah.
It's colored, and then even Hock Lam Street. Oh, there was
Yes, Hock Lam Street. Yes, that's right.
where the original beef noodle hailed from. All these places lend culinary color to what we have today as a hawker. So sometimes I feel, that little aspect of that street culinary scene is lost. We could have just prettified them, just make sure the water don't go longkang, go to some that character would have been, so that lends so much more. An older generation would have been able to relate to that place and say, yeah, this is where I grew up. This is the flavors and the people I grew up with.
Yeah.
I remember-
Seetoh, you
Sorry.
mentioned Bugis Street. I mean, one hawker that comes to mind seriously, okay, that is the place where beef balls takes a totally authentic meaning.
There's a place called Glutton Square. Glutton is in Orchard Road.
There was opposite.
It was abolished. It was demolished, not abolished. It was demolished. So I think Seetoh will know this because you're in the
I hang out there. Yeah, it was still around during our Straits Times days. We would go down there and makan after our gigs. It's not all that long ago. So it's unfortunately yet another mall.
They demolished that place. So a lot of the makan places have all disappeared. Cook Road also, they used to have places to eat.
How about Botanic Gardens?
When Shirley, when you mentioned beef balls at Bugis Street, did you mean those beefy guys in dress walking up and down Bugis Street?
No, real beef balls.
Charlene, you were asking about Botanic Gardens?
Yes,
Taman
Serasi.
Taman Serasi.
Yeah.
opposite the gate there, right in the front.
Yes.
Yeah.
The old,
That was known for his roti john, if I'm not mistaken.
Roti john and the sour sops and the
Yeah.
sour sops.
See the moved up there.
Wow, that's gone as well.
Yeah.
And then
I miss that.
Stephen was talking about school, and it made me think about the couple of things that I missed from that era, because we always used to watch two programs. One is called the S&I quiz.
Oh, yes.
Science and industries quiz or something, right?
And the second was the debate series.
Yes.
And then everyone can hear that music, the theme music, and they play from debate. Da,
Yeah.
da, 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 da. And
Yes,
then
yes.
who was the host? Max LeBlanc, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Max LeBlanc.
Yeah, and S&I quiz was
Hosting.
Dr. Tay.
Dr. Tay Eng Soon, yeah.
Dr.
Tay Eng
Tay
Soon,
Eng.
right?
Somebody
Yeah.
mentioned that. Yeah, Dr.
Yeah,
Tay.
somebody is that.
Correct. And see, by hosting a TV show, they became a minister later.
Surely not lah.
So Adrian, you're gonna be a minister soon, you know.
How about this? You can host a reality show and become president of the United States.
Yeah, that's right. It's even better.
Yeah.
Solid, man.
So in the
democracy.
S&I quiz, we'll always end up with one or two schools, and they would then get into a final round where you have a buzzer. And I think soon will say, "What, you get into the buzzer round?" And Nicholas Cheong says, "I give it to you."
Yeah,
Yes,
always,
yes,
yeah. Dr. Tay always say that.
Yeah. I was thinking, like, what would be Dr. Tay's wedding night like? But never mind. I'll give it to you. So that one, and then the debates. I missed that. I wish that they would still have the S&I quiz. I wish that students could go and display their knowledge and challenge each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I participated in the debate when I was at St. Andrews, so I had at least on TV twice, because I think we made it to the, can't remember, semi-finals or something like that. So at least 2 rounds on TV, right? It was quite exciting though, but now you look back, it was a lot of preparation on the school time to do stuff. Because the thing that always amazed me about debates is this. You prepare for both sides, pro and against. And then they only tell you 1 hour when you're in the TV station which side you're on. Which is the biggest irony, because you already know all the arguments on the other side, right? And then you have all your cue cards in front of you, and you're waiting for them to bring up the point that you already researched before. That's a big irony, because everybody knows what everybody's going to say, really. So it comes down to eloquence, right? And eloquence is the one that carries you and you win, right? So it's totally funny.
Yeah.
That's what I found, though. And it
What else
almost
do you-
sounds like the Democrats and the Republicans. Oh, sorry, did I say something? Like politics, everybody knows exactly what the other side was going to bring up. And they know the arguments already. So it's just Singapore terms, wayang.
So that's the thing. But it was so popular. And in the HDB estate,
Yep.
whenever we only have 3 channels or 2 channels, and whenever one popular program comes out, be it S&I Quiz or Charlie's Angels or $6 Million Man, or
Muhammad Ali and Joe Fraser.
Yes.
Solid Gold. Yes.
Solid Gold.
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Oh, Salim.
You're downstairs. I remember being downstairs and two blocks of flats, one on each side, and then you can hear $6 Million Man.
Yeah, $6 Million Man, that's right.
No, Steve Austin, a man barely alive. We can rebuild him faster, stronger, better.
Lee Majors, right?
Lee Majors.
Yes.
Lee Majors, yes.
Yes. And then
Bionic Woman, right?
yes, there was Bionic Woman, Lindsay Wagner.
Lindsay Wagner for that one. Yeah.
And then I remember that Singapore, we had a Bionic Boy movie. I don't know whether you guys remember. There's this guy, Johnson something, who was a black belt in something. And that movie came out. And then there was another movie, Cleopatra Wong. And I remember,
Oh, yes. Yes.
and I remember the Straits Times,
After a while.
the Straits Times gave quite a crummy review for Cleopatra Wong. And then the actress wrote back and said, this is very unpatriotic. It's damn hard for us to do a Singapore movie once one come out, you're going to whack us. Give us a break.
Yeah, well, that's spot on.
Yeah, I noticed that, there was always that feeling that you had to give a break to local talent. I can understand the need to nurture, but do you nurture by coddling them to that extent and sort of creating an unreal environment? Do you
No.
really stand a chance in the big wide world if you keep doing that?
Yeah,
Kanan, do you remember that I went to Hong Kong to cut a movie?
No,
Yeah,
I
you
didn't.
fought,
Yeah.
she fought
Remember
with
that?
she
No,
fought
what movie?
With Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen, yeah.
Yes, with Donnie Yen. It was our first movie together, and it was in 1984. And how I landed on that role, I was a bodybuilder then, right? And there was an advertisement in Lian He Zhao Bao. And it basically called for someone who was beefy and all that. And Leslie Fong, our Leslie Fong, he said, Shirley, go and
The editor of the
apply.
Straits Times.
Yes.
So
He
that's
said,
for those
"Go."
who don't know.
Right. So he said, go apply and write a story on how difficult it is for a Singaporean to break into the Hong Kong movie world. And I was like, what? You want me to do what? So I didn't. And then, of course, he got Iris a couple of weeks later and said, put it on schedule. And I was stuck. So anyway, I applied and I got the part. And I went off to Hong Kong and I met Donnie Yen. And I did the movie, and it's called Mismatched Couples. And I've been told that it's been playing and replaying and replaying.
Yeah.
And the last replay was actually just about 3 weeks ago. I was like, oh, wow. Should have signed a different contract, to get royalties. I'll be so rich.
I can sue them for you. If you want a big lawsuit, I can do for you.
And then raise more interest in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. You mean Donnie
So-
Yen, Ip Man, that Donnie Yen?
Yes, that's Donnie Yen. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was our
but
first
they-
movie together
there's
with
a-
Mei Lo, who is Jackie Chung's wife. Yeah, and I think we were new. There were 5 or 6 newbies on that movie. Yeah, so it was really quite fun.
The Donnie Yen looked really different then.
Yeah, very different. He's so
He's
much
a
better
banana-
looking now.
He's
Yes, he
banana.
looks so
Those were
nicely.
the Banana Rama era, right?
I just
Yeah,
did
correct. Yeah.
Google, Shirley, you look so fit.
What?
I did a quick Google on you. All over under images, only you.
We
my
saw her real time. We saw her in real time.
Yeah, now you have the real Shirley in front of you.
It's
So
all
Shirley,
real.
how difficult was it to do the movie? When you had the story, was it difficult to get the role to do the part?
No, actually not. I asked Shinan Sen, who was the executive producer then, and I said, what if I go and I don't get the part? And she said, no. The Douyin, the director, already has chosen you. And I said, and what if I can't act? And he said, no, he's very good. He made Jackie Chan famous. He will make you famous. And I said, but I don't want to be famous. I want to come back to the Straits Times. Gosh, can you imagine? God. So actually, that was what I did. I said, okay, I'll just go and do a movie. And because the director knew me, I was neither Adam nor Eve to him. He gave me small parts, so I was like in cameo roles. And then subsequently, when he realized, or when he saw that I was, I looked good on camera, and that I could act somewhat without too much coaching, he got the screenwriter to rewrite the script, and I had a very much bigger role, and a lot more speaking parts as well. Yeah, so that was actually a lot of fun. So I went there and I came back with a story. The Straits Times carried, and then the Sunday Times carried, and it was really quite fun. And what was even more fun was that I used to go to the market at Jurong East, and it was just like people would recognize me, and they will come up to me and say, hey, can I have your autograph? And it was on newspaper, okay? Newspaper, all they did was borrow a marker from a hawker, because all hawkers have markers, and they said, can you just sign for me? And it didn't matter that the newspaper was an obituary. It just
Oh dear.
seriously, whatever paper it was that they could get hold of, you know. And actually, what made me really famous was Jurong Drive-In Cinema. Does anyone remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my movie went on the Jurong Drive-In Cinema in 1984, and then Jurong Drive-In Cinema closed in 1985. It's now called what? Fairway Club. I think it's called the Fairway Club now. Yeah, that's where it is now. But yeah.
My
So
you know,
uncle used to be just next door to the drive-in cinema, so I would go there on the holidays, and I could see in those days all these cars and the screen in
yeah,
the open air at
yeah.
night. And when they showed Bruce Lee at that time,
Oh
Bruce
yeah.
Lee was a big deal.
Oh yeah.
There were just huge jams all
Yes.
over, and one time
Yeah.
they had to get a crane to come in to lift cars out because the jam was just impossible. And just
Oh really?
yes, and just saying Jurong Drive-In brings back so many memories. I was thinking today, should we have a drive-in? Is it a thing today,
I
or
think somebody did that. They brought back some pop-up drive-in, and then you kind of like listen to the thing by and tap, you know, into your car speakers. No feeling lah. But I think drive-ins are so old that it would be hip today if you bring it back.
right?
But then again, you know, I mean, you look at the current COVID-19 pandemic, yeah, and we've been told that it's very likely that we'll have to mask up for the next 4 to 5 years. So that would actually be a very safe option. Where you
Yeah,
have
they-
a drive-in cinema and you watch your movie, you're in the confines of your own car. You're not going to be mingling with somebody you don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
so-
reopened the drive-in here in Washington State, and for that reason, and people actually filled it up though, because the cars they're by themselves, you know, and they're social distancing, by,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but because of the you know the ways the cars are put together. The other thing that you know, Adrian, you like to mention a lot of stuff on TV, right? You know, remember Talentime?
Oh,
yeah.
Talentime was another one that you know everybody looked forward to because you know, all your favorite singers would come. What TF Tan and you know all these
Vintage, yeah.
people keep coming back every year to enter the competition, right?
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, the mask
You know,
fellas, who are
The masquerade. That was the
Masquerade.
Masquerade, and then you had I'm trying to think what the group name, but this is Xiao Chong and his
the
Lin
Jake,
Xiao Chong.
Jake,
Vintage,
the
vintage.
Jake sisters.
Jacinta Abisheganatham had a group
Yes.
together, right? 3
Yeah.
years, something like
Yeah.
that.
And TF,
Yeah,
And,
vintage. Right, Nicholas. Right.
that's the oldest one I can remember. TF Tan
Vintage,
sang
yeah.
Nobody's Child or something.
Yeah, something like that. Right?
Just like a flower, I'm growing in the wild. And
Mhm.
And there was
those-
No mommy's kisses and no daddy's smile.
smile.
Nobody
There
wants
was a 13
nobody's
there
child.
was a 13-year-old Malay girl who won the Talentime in the 80s. Her name is Farida Dola. But she sang
yeah.
Shame, Shame, Shame.
Shame
Shame
on
on
Shame on
you.
you.
Remember
Remember
her?
that?
She now runs a satay stall at our Gluttons Bay by the SP.
Oh, is that?
Oh,
The whole world, she sang, she did so many gigs. One day she said,
Yes.
give up. She came back, wanted to retire, and then somebody offered her this chance to co-run a satay store. You can see her there. All her kids go back there and join her. Yeah, she can. Oh, she's still powered. You make her sing a little Christmas carol every year just to promote the play, and she has that power, man. I tell you, still there, all still there, man. The Farida Dola.
Yeah.
Okay, the next time I come by, I'll look out for her.
The idea of Talentime in those days
Vintage,
was
yeah.
that you would watch it, and then 3 judges, 3 other human beings would sit there and they would pontificate, and then they would judge, and the
Yeah.
audience has no input.
No input, not like these days, right?
No, nowadays we will never stand for it. We will not allow 3 people to make decisions for us. We all want to vote, and I guess if we brought back Talentime today, we would vote. But last time we were content to let. I remember Farida Dola, because my late mother was so upset. The newspapers ran a competition where you would cut out the Talentime finalists, and then you go and take which one you think would win, and then you would submit it for a lucky draw. and she didn't pick Farida Dola. And when Farida Dola sang Shame, my mother said, "This is not a song. There are no lyrics. It's the same line over and over again. How can she win?" So it seared into her mind the bitter unfairness of it all. She lived through all the general elections, but she thought that was the worst outcome ever.
Kelong, is it? Kelong.
Kelong, yeah, it's terrible. Kelong is another thing from the 70s and 80s because
And referee Kayu.
yeah, my friends like in England they were saying, "Oh, you'll never walk alone," and all these beautiful songs. Then they asked me, "So in Singapore, what is your song?" Referee Kayu.
Yes.
But when 50,000 people shout that, it's pretty impressive, though, I tell you.
It is. Yeah, and we had the original Kallang Wave.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You know, other
Yeah.
than at national days, a lot of people today do not know what it's like to gather 50,000 people to watch a football game.
Yeah.
When Dora Kasim nutmeg the goalkeeper and score a goal, whoa, the whole stadium would erupt. What are those? It's gone forever in one simple decision. Let's leave the Malaysia.
So one of the most interesting things, because, growing up those days, right, Eric Payne was at one time goalkeeper, right? So, but when I was in the army, he was actually in my base, So I actually got to, interact with Eric Payne. Those days he was idol, goalkeeper. And then he was in the army together in Beach Road Camp. It was quite extraordinary, seeing what it was like.
How were they in real life? Friendly?
He was very friendly. In fact, very nice guy. Down to earth. I guess took a hit from a career-wise because he was playing so much all his time was playing football, right? So, but that was quite interesting to meet one of those stars, right? So, yeah, Beach Road Camp was interesting. That was I guess. For those of you growing up, the army was another big thing for me, even though it was, right after pre-U, right? You go straight into army in those days. But it was, that's where I picked up all my Hokkien, you see, so.
Wow, explains a lot.
All the colorful Hokkien.
No, it was the most interesting thing because after SISL, which was corporal, right? They said that you wait, you kind of finish your 3 months and then you wait for your posting. So they said, the worst thing is don't get posted to unit. Okay, so no problem. So if you go to unit, don't get posted to the Lau Peng company, which is the oldest company about to finish. And if you go to the Lau Peng company, don't go to the Hokkien company. I came to my list, I wrote my name, Stephen Krempl, 3SIR, Charlie Company. It not only was a Lau Peng company, it was totally a regular company, and I unfortunately had to learn Hokkien very fast.
Could they even pronounce your name?
No, I don't know what the hell they call me, but
they call something, you just said yes.
Campbell, whatever it is, you respond to anything,
Campbell soup.
Campbell, whatever, it didn't bother me very much in the end.
How about there's a question here about Teochew operas. Do you remember this open air sort of performances? I still see some of them once in a while. I don't see much of an audience in front of them anyway. But what's the lifespan of these groups and what happens to them?
I used to watch. I used to live in Upper Bukit Timah, and there would be an open field where there was a guild house nearby, and of course that road no longer exists. It's called Lorong Faham. So this is now where MINDEF in Bukit Gombak is, but it's more on the front of the main road, along the main road, Upper Bukit Timah Road. Yeah, and they would have Teochew operas, and I would accompany my grandmother to watch it, and it was like so nice if it was on a Friday, because that was when we had Pasar Malam.
Yep.
And then we would walk, and then go and buy Ham Ji Bang. And yeah, and then me being me, I will have my little tumbler of my pink tumbler, gosh, of water, and I'll be very happy with my Humpty Bang, and that would sort of like last me the entire Teochew opera. So yeah,
The Teochew
So
opera.
that was entertainment then for you.
yeah, it was entertainment.
The
Yeah,
Teochew opera means you have to bring. Sometimes you have to bring your own chairs.
yes,
And a stool, and then there would be the guy with peanuts. So there'll be a peanut vendor
yeah,
or chestnut vendor, and he'd be by the side cooking up peanuts in a paper bag. And then there would be this gas-fired light bulbs that they would string along the side, and you would hear the generator humming along, and then
yeah.
these guys would belt out without a proper sound system. They would just belt out their opera all the way. It's really an art form.
You always have the ubiquitous fake bird nest drink stall.
Oh yeah,
that one
it tastes so
iconic.
good, right?
And they also have a roja, and they also have a small little stall. Oh no, not small. That particular push cart would be the major one. They sell ngoh. You go and pick because all this stuff were all pre-cooked. You don't need fire there. So the people just put it out. They were the original pop-up.
Yeah.
All those foods were the food of the wayang.
Reminds me of another thing I missed from the 70s, and that was Pek Chu. And Pek Chu was this humor writer. I have to explain who Pek Chu is for younger people. When we have newspapers in the old days, on Saturday there would be a humor column. It's damn weird now that you think about it, that there is a little column for the weather, there's the 4D results, and there's a humor column. The rest of the newspaper very serious, but then at one part you're supposed to laugh. And the person that I love reading was Pek Chu. I'm not sure what.
Pek Chu.
Sylvia.
Sylvia To
Pek Chu.
Sylvia Teo.
And she was so funny that for years I used to think that Pek Chu was a man, because I'm thinking, it must be a guy. I have in mind some crusty old guy. And then the first time I saw her photograph, I said, wow, a woman who has a sense of humor. It's like it was an enlightenment for me. Am I allowed to say this sort of thing? Politically incorrect. Right?
Well, you'll just get into trouble, that's all. It's okay.
You lawyer, you're okay. You're
Yeah, you just protect yourself.
Was that the same time where there's a lot cartoon?
Lat, yes. There was
Lat.
Cartoons at that time also, right?
Yeah.
Before Lat, there was this guy in Singapore. He's my friend's brother. I forgot his full name, Mr. C. He had his cartoon strips were called Seeing with S.
Yes.
This was way in the 70s, and he had such humorous observations about how people would go into a SBS bus back in the day with a wet umbrella, and they will hold the umbrella up on that rail above. Right? The water would drip to the guy next door, and his arm would sting the student at the side. It was so evident, so funny. It was way before that. Unfortunately, he took his own life. Those were the days when we collected bus tickets with
yes, I still have one.
Correct? I've got one. I don't know where it is. Somewhere around here. I've got it.
So the public transport there at that time, now that I think about it, you would have two people. One is a driver, and then one is a bus conductor, which is a person with a leather satchel, a row of colorful paper tickets, and what I thought was a stapler. And then he would come and if you're a student, you would show your laminated student pass where you paste your little stamp there.
Bus stamp.
Go in the bus stamp. And if you're in the bus and you wanted the bus to stop, you would actually have to reach to the ceiling and press this rubber
strip, right? It was a strip.
Yeah. It's like that's the dumbest
overhead
idea in the world.
It was overhead, yeah.
I don't know why they would put it right up there.
I
For
know.
It's
Overhead, yeah.
yes. And
then the poor little students were asking, Uncle, can press for me.
correct.
Cannot reach.
Yeah.
Bus conductor.
You got your tiptoes.
And
So
somebody
how many of you have kids in this group? 3 of you. Do you think your kids? What do you think your kids are missing growing up now that you enjoy and they will not be able to enjoy?
Fun fair.
Ice ball.
Okay, fun fair? What
Yeah.
else? Shirley, what was
Pasar
that?
malam,
Ice
pasar
ball.
malam,
Yeah.
pasar malam.
Pasar
Pasar
malam, yeah.
malam.
Pasar malam, yeah.
A lot also. Yeah, go to Malaysia for the pasar malam. Yeah.
You can still see the pasar malams in Malaysia anyway, right?
Yeah, but
You
yeah,
still get them there.
Malaysia, but not here, not so much.
Yeah,
But do
mine unfortunately be very different because I think just missing the lifestyle in Singapore is very different than the US. You know, it's a totally different country, right? So just we've gone back a couple of times as a family and stuff, and they're always quite interesting, you know, to find out, hey, what we used to do and stuff like that. But nowadays, well, the discotheque that somebody was writing about, you know, would the kids miss the discotheque and afternoon tea? The discotheque has now become the club. So the sikit atas name for discotheque lah. You go clubbing, right? You go clubbing or you go bar hopping. So they're actually doing the same thing. They're just in a different place, though, right?
What I think the kids will miss today, but I'm not sure they are able to do it, is sit down, gather, and talk.
They will text
Everybody just
rubbish.
sit down, hey, let's meet, and they all meet, and they'll whip up their phones and they check their social media.
Yeah, exactly.
Handed socially, so they can just sit down, drag a topic from the air, and then we'll let it go.
No, I can't remember. You know, friends would say, "Hey, let's go meet at the Sarabat store, right?"
Yeah.
And we'll go there from 9 o'clock, and we won't leave till 2 a.m. I don't know what the hell we've been talking about for 5 hours.
Talk about Adidas boots, lah.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk about that teacher who scratched the car. Well, it'll go on and on. No. Now it's like, what's trendy? Did you see this one from TikTok?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think they lost the art of conversation, really.
Another thing that is very interesting is like, I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, I used to have what they call pen pals. So that was I'm sure you must have had that. That was pre what they call it, Facebook time, you see. So you had virtual friends. So they were our virtual friends. You know, we actually wrote letters and then we waited anxiously for them to reply. And it was taking forever because of snail mail. It wasn't airmail, it was snail mail.
Aerogram. Wrote Arrow.
Yes, Nicholas just wrote that. Yeah.
I think there are people in our midst of our generation who actually married their pen pal and they are still around.
Okay, I wouldn't say I married my pen pal. My husband was not my pen pal, but I remember in my teens, Adrian, ACS boy, charming. I always told my daughter, growing up, whether or not you marry an ACS boy, you must at least date an ACS boy one time. You must experience the charm. Okay, let me tell you my experience. Yeah, seriously, if you're not kidding you. I was in my teens. I was about, I think 15, 16 years old. And there was this ACS boy who liked me very much. And I was like, okay, maybe not. But he did the sweetest thing for me that till today, I so appreciate. And I wish that I never lost what he gave me. Every week, I would receive in the snail mail 2 to 3 homemade postcards. He would paint on it. He would paint it with watercolors, and God help us if the postman got caught in the rain. And he would write the sweetest words and post it. And that to me was like romantic to the max. Really, really romantic to the max. Yeah.
Wow.
So what happened to them?
Painted.
Where are they now?
What happened to the postcards?
Well, actually, I had kept them in a box, and then it was in one of my in a very small building that my family had owned, and it caught fire.
Your husband burned it. I knew your husband burned it. Your husband.
No.
No way. Anyway,
Yeah.
watercolors. What I thought, do you remember we had this thing called watercolors, poster colors?
Yes,
Yeah.
We
yes,
had these plastic palettes.
yes. Got white
Yes.
palettes. Yes.
Yes, and then
Six
we'd have to
more.
try and paint something.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, that
I
was so
went to-
sweet. You know, that to me was
yeah.
like the max of pen paling kind of thing. And another memory I had was, I mean, like when you represented Singapore, in anything, and then you will say, okay, I'll see you at the next games, and then you wait 2 years, and then you hopefully meet your friend from Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and 2 years later, if you don't meet them, okay, lor, the person didn't qualify, and that was it. And then you wait for another 2 years, and maybe you see the friend, and maybe not. And we didn't keep in touch. It's not like, oh, we're so lovey-dovey, yeah, but we just didn't keep in touch. But I was very fortunate to have met someone from Malaysia years and years later, you know, and he lives in Malacca. And he runs Capital Satay. His name is Raymond Low, and he had represented Malaysia in swimming as well and diving. Yeah, and the first question I asked him was, what happened to you? If I had fallen in love with you, I would have been broken-hearted. And he said that that particular year, he couldn't go because his father was ill and he had to take over the business. So you know, I mean, this is really pre-internet days. Like these days, hey, are you making it? And you've got a whole list of names who would have made it to the team, and then you know you can appeal this and that. And those days, no, you were chosen or you were not chosen, and you don't even know your competitors who would be chosen and who not. Yeah, and especially your different sports, you know. Yeah.
Kanan, remember back in the day we used to go club hopping and we used to cover all the different clubs and we covered the battle of the bands. Remember?
That's right, Rainbow.
I tell you, we should bring those bands were so freaking talented. No,
Tanya,
They
I
were.
know.
bring that back, and the place was jam packed. Everybody was rooting for their own band. Wow, what happened to those days, man? Yeah.
It's a bit like the football thing. You know, once it stopped, then the clubs there was the issue of drugs and a whole lot of other things, and some went bust.
Yeah, you should bring it back. I think
But
they are
But
talent.
now it's all corporatized, right? You have your X Factor, you have your, you know, your talent shows, which are all built around money making and contracts
If
for.
I had my way, I'll ask them to open up one of the hawker centers, put a stage there, and do a battle of the band. Oh, everybody will go. And you get all the locals band just coming up with their own songs or do their own versions, do cover versions of their, you know. I think the talent is still there. It's time we address the arts. You know.
We need to, yeah.
Local singers, right? Like Tokyo Square.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Or Gingerbread.
Ginger Elizabeth,
Tokyo
yeah.
Square.
Why need? Yeah.
Joe
Then
Chandran and the
Voucher.
Experiments.
Experiments, yeah.
I think Voucher, one of the
Western
people are
Union
still,
Band,
still drumming or something like
Yeah, Albert Lewis is still drumming. He's doing it as a therapy to help people as well.
Heritage, Tanya. Yeah.
Anya, yeah.
Tony Terry and Spencer. Remember?
Yeah.
Wanted to
Actually, there was a lot of bands over there.
Hey,
Oh, cassettes,
the way we had
cassette tapes.
hey,
Wow.
that's that thing.
to have them.
Do you have a cassette tape player? Do you have a cassette tape player, Patricia?
Yes, was like gross.
Hey, I have the twin cassette deck. I have I still have the twin cassette deck where you can copy. You can copy one
Ah.
to another.
Okay, but is the
Collect
brand,
item,
is the brand Akai, is the brand Akai or Sunscreen?
Yeah, Akai was a big time.
Aiwa.
Yeah.
That's right.
I remember those tape-to-tape decks because in Lucky Plaza, we used to go and we couldn't afford to buy those big LPs. So we would go to this shop in Lucky Plaza. I'm not allowed to say the name for legal reasons. And then they would tell you, oh, you can copy a whole LP into a cassette tape, or if you pay extra, you can choose individual tracks from different LPs and make it for you.
Yeah.
And then if you want to pay extra, you can get it on metal tape. which is a
Oh,
higher
yeah,
quality
Cosmo.
cassette tape. And
Oh, yeah, metal tape.
yeah, and we would go there and we would just spend the whole day trying to spend our $12 on getting a mixtape.
And then you would sit by the radio, you listen, if you started playing the song
Yes.
in whole, they would
Yes.
record the thing. And
Yes.
that smart DJ who talked over it, you go, what tulan now? What the hell, man? Fed up, you know. And I was just mentioning in my radio show the other day, why do some DJs at this day and age still talk until the singer comes on? No? And somebody said, oh, you know, people want to record the song. I say, what if the DJ begins to talk over their intro of the song today? Very simple. People just go to YouTube and Spotify, and they won't come back to your station.
Exactly.
You know, then maybe it was cool then. 10 seconds to tell you about the weather and the traffic, and you know, something.
The idea of having DJs now is also weird because nowadays people just play tracks. It's all done by computer. But in the old days, there was this radio program called Your Choice, and for me, we were
Roger
there,
Cool,
10:30 or something like that. And then this song goes out to all the boys in Sec 4B, and the message.
That's right.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Talking about, somebody mentioned Victor Cool. He used to have his little puppet. And he would entertain children. Once I nearly got into an accident. I was driving to Straits Times on the way along CTE, a morning show. You remember that one, right, Shirley? So he was asking, okay, talking about animals.
Oh my God.
He was talking about animals and all that. So okay, boys and girls, if the male chicken is a cock, what's a female chicken? Then the little boy, CB in full.
That was when we radio silence. Oh God.
It was live, man. It was nearly crashed into the other car. Man.
It was so hilarious. It was a Saturday morning.
The boy was quite good. The boy actually say, my mother say cannot say bad word. And then Victor Cool wouldn't let it go. It's all right, just say it's okay. Then he said the word.
Well, Victor has lived to regret it. Yeah. So it's quite funny.
Victor's a legend.
Yeah, he is. I think some people, there are a few legends like that who still sort of cut across some generations. But I think in time they will be forgotten as well.
Brian Richmond is the king.
He's still around.
Yeah.
And Victor Cool, I remember he had Charlie. Do you remember he had Charlie?
And
he was a ventriloquist. But what is not known is that he had another puppet which was black, and he called him Charcoal.
Oh,
I know. When I first heard it, I thought, okay, this is a little bit edgy. So he had Charlie and Charcoal. And at that time, fortunately, there was no Black Lives Matter. But today, he would be killed.
But those days was, I always remember, I wasn't called a Eurasian. I was others, There were Chinese, Malay, Indian, and others,
Yeah, correct.
Oh, very interesting. But I tell you,
I see will still call you as others, though.
Yeah, still others now.
Yeah.
But it was very funny because if I remember we were Singapore were choosing a group of 10 students to go to Commonwealth camp in London, right? Mm-hmm. So we went for this. There were 200 finalists. They're going to choose 10. All right, looking around the meeting, there was a panel of judges, and again, everybody had to go and interview. So I'm looking around. I said, hey, no other Eurasian. And then I saw one other Indian guy there. So I went to the Indian guy. I told him, hey, if you and I don't screw up where we are in, let all the Chinese fight among themselves, because they will choose out of 10, 6 Chinese, 2 Malay, 1 Indian, and 1 others.
Proportionate.
Must be, because Singapore always had this thing of multiracial, everything, being
correct.
So on that multiracial point, there were 2 weird, horrible things that we did. One is dancing, and the other is costumes. So dancing is like this: Chinese, Indian, Malay, others at that time. We decided to have a national dance called the Simo dance. I'm not kidding. Okay, you can look at CIMO, which is a combination of Chinese, Indian, Malay, and others. Dance. It was dumb, but matched only by one of our Miss Universe contestants who also designed a national costume, which was Chinese, Indian, Malay, and others. And we are just obsessed with not trying to identify the beauty of each race, but just trying to mash it up, and maybe we can create some fantastic Frankenstein.
You talk about dancers. Hey, do you remember the good old days when you were not allowed to dance at a concert?
There was
you want to. They didn't even let it stand up.
And they were standing at the side. Oh, sit down. I mean, what I tell you, it's somebody was included in one of the joke book of Singapore. Yeah, Adrian, you should write the joke book of Singapore.
I'll get arrested. I know my friend. Some of my friends went to tour in ISD. All right, this is just when they were students. They went to tour, and then they asked ISD, so what are the things you're proud of? And one of the officers there said, we allow karaoke and bar top dancing. And then my friend was saying, why is that even an ISD issue? He said, karaoke, what if someone grabs the microphone and then starts hurling anti-government slogans? Then how? So we decided to study the problem and see whether there's a big risk or not. And in the end, we decided we have to take a risk. Maybe, maybe
that
people
was
will
the
just
birth
take
of
over.
modern Singapore.
I know.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Such courage, really.
And bar top dancing, why did they allow bar top dancing?
Again, for the same reason, because if you see a woman dancing on bar top, it would naturally inflame the men to such a degree that we were not able to hold ourselves back. We will rip our shirts off, and we will send Shirley watercolor paintings to express our love. And they just had a very low opinion of us, to be honest.
Neptune dancers, hey, Neptune dancers. Shirley, I remember back in there we covered the story. We were sent out to walk Orchard Road at midnight to see what Orchard Road was like.
Oh, yes.
We did a photo essay. I tell you, those days when Orchard Road was still part of Singapore, it was so nice. You go down there, Teh Ban Guan, and then the McDonald kids, and then you walk up and down. So Lucky Plaza actually had Singaporeans,
They actually had Singaporeans.
The whole Orchard Road is an annex. Whole Orchard Road today is an annex of, I think, India and Philippines.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So sad. No character.
Yeah. I remember that assignment, Seetoh.
Yeah. I took a picture of who's that artist, that sculptor.
Ng Teng
Fong. No.
What's
the name?
Something I remember. He held this celestial baby up,
Yeah, it's called
People
Mother.
below was smoking, break dancing, So I saw this mother holding up the baby away from all these people having fun, drinking, falling down and break dancing. And I was so nice. Those days are gone. Very hard to tell people that Singapore, Orchard Road was actually fun back in the day. Tropicana.
They shut Whole Street for musical
Payton Place.
festival.
All these places,
Festival.
so much character.
So that does make me think that Orchard Road had more meaning than today. I don't know whether it has the same relevance today, but in the old days, Orchard Road was where we had to go every Saturday to see what people were doing. And there was, at this stage, Straits Times ran an article exposing Center Point kids. And Center Point kids,
McDonald's kids,
or McDonald's kids, were the horrible thing where Charlene is waving. Were you one? What scandalous thing did you do?
Ng Teng, yeah.
Correct. The grandfather, correct.
Yeah, someone
is it still there? The print, it's just outside Far East Shopping Center.
Yeah.
Still there, I don't know, but it was fun. It was packed. Orchard Road was actually packed with people. Singaporeans, packed with Singaporeans. Yeah.
I think those of you remember in school, we would go down the Orchard Road and then wear your bell bottoms and your high heel and then walk from one end, you take the bus to, one end and walk all the way down to the other end, and then that was your night. You stopped along the way and whatever it is.
We'll find out. After walking to the other end just before Istana, we will wonder, hey, anyway got function or not? Let's go.
What is that word?
Function. Function with disco lights. Remember the rich houses where they held functions, they had that disco ball, right?
Disco ball.
People HDB house function parties. When they go and steal those construction site blinkers at night, they put a few in it, they'll blink at different intervals, and there you have a HDB little living room party function. Fun.
Right. Oh dear. Yeah.
All this old lingo, it's all gone. The old lingo, I suppose new stuff.
They go around there, them jute, remember?
Jute,
Alamak.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and the evolution of hot has now cooled. So different.
Where do you all go for your official date? The Ship, Denny's restaurant, the Jack's place?
Yeah.
Oh, Silver Spoon.
Oh, yes.
That's right. Yeah.
Silver Spoon.
Skillet, Silver Spoon.
Skillets, that's right. Yeah.
And then the Magnolia Milk Bar as well, right?
Magnolia at where Centrepoint is.
Yeah, the Centrepoint. One at Capitol as well later, I think.
Capitol was way later.
Yeah.
Oh, McDonald's. Magnolia was a big thing,
Magnolia snack bar.
You eat chicken pie with fork and spoon, Huh? You do a salad at the side. Wow, you want to put on your little bib and eat the thing.
They all remember the A&W along Bukit Timah.
Yes.
One of the first A&Ws was there, right?
That was a drive-in as well.
Yeah, drive-in, yeah.
It had root beer float and had a chicken in a basket.
Coney dog.
And a
Coney dog.
Tuesday Coney dog.
Tuesday dog.
Yeah, man, Tuesday. Yeah. And Jackie's Bowl. Do you remember Jackie's Bowl?
Mandarin Hotel.
Wow.
I think there was a time where bowling was quite a thing. I'm not sure if today it's still quite a thing, but bowling
It
is still.
Yes,
to be where
it's an app. Today it's an app, right?
It's an app.
No, it's not. We have world champions, men and women.
We weren't allowed to go in our uniforms, so you would have to find some way to change and not wear your school uniforms if you wanted to go bowling. That'll be the number one place where you would go there, and then you go outside and you fight with the SGI boys over some sparring thing.
And we always won. and what was that? Oh gosh, I forgot. Okay, you guys, it just slipped me again. I'll come back.
Okay, never mind. When you overcome your senior moment, you can let us know.
That's senior.
Seetoh is SJI, right? Adrian, you were from which school?
I was from ACS, the watercolor.
Oh, you were the ACS, the one that Shirley adores, right? So
yeah, we're very good at art.
ACMG family,
SGI was the only boys' school then that produced female graduates. Today they are so sick of that rumor. They actually have girls in their school today just to stop all the rumors. I actually photographed one of back in my KFC 12 toffee days. So some model was sent to my place, photograph, and she was a babe, and I was, young and hot and all that, and I said, hey, hi, Christine was her name. I shot her, and in the end, she finished. She said, I said, Seetoh, don't you remember me? Not in that tone, close to that tone. And I said, hey, pick up line from me, not you. No, of course I don't remember you. But I do, I'll be all over you now. See, you remember Sec 4, Art 7 or something like that. Oh shit, you're Christopher. Dead, man.
Seetoh, you are a scream. You always have been a
Yeah,
scream.
man.
You still are a scream.
Actually, I should thank all of you. Thank all of you for agreeing to this, because Stephen for getting up early just to join in. But I hope just remembering some of these things has brought back some good memories as well. But I really thank you for sharing all those memories from the past, and some of those things were things that I've gone through. But they just get lost in time. Too many new things sweeping in and taking over our brain cells. Yeah.
Remember the different worlds that we live in? The
Great world, gay
new
world,
Yeah,
happy
world,
world.
yeah.
gay world. I lived as a kid in the 60s. I lived right opposite the gay world, and they tore it down in the 70s, and they just to let grass grow. Today, the grass is still growing, but those were fun. Why did we lose that culture? We have upgraded, updated it. But why did we want to lose that culture? As if you were not allowed to have fun. Yeah, back in the day, you just had to study, get good grades, 5 C's, and you can't play. But today, what's the equivalent of gay world, happy world, great world? Turn into a movie now, but people don't even know what was like.
It's your app, lah. It's an app on your phone.
And a movie,
That's
and a movie.
and a movie.
Yeah, you
maybe,
go there,
yeah.
you pay, like 10 cents, and you wrote podcast for a couple of minutes, and then you buy kacang putih, and then you get gamseng tea at a restaurant there. You have the Ferris, the
Ferris wheel.
thing, and
Yeah.
there was also a movie theater in there, and it was just a
And
night.
you also had a boxing rink.
That one was in Geylang, the gay world. I
Yeah.
went there as a kid. My grandfather took me there to watch Cassius Clay,
Really?
Yes, that's
who
right.
was eventually renamed Muhammad Ali.
For those of you with children, how different their lives are compared to yours, and whether they have that same level of enjoyment that you talk about, the kind of level and enthusiasm for growing up and interacting, whether they have any of that. Maybe they'll forge their own ways of doing things and enjoying themselves. I'm sure they will.
I'm actually very fortunate that my 2 adult children, I taught them dialect. Yeah.
After the bad words, right?
It wasn't
Mommy,
once,
what's
it wasn't
KNN?
But I mean, it really is like, they are like, oh, you speak Teochew? Now, so this is
a novelty.
I don't regret, teaching them growing up dialect. And this is something I think will probably disappear in next generation.
Well, dialect still exists, solemnly, diligently in parts of the world, but what's gonna die off naturally, and it's this little minuscule effort to bring it back is Singlish. Back in the day, there was way more Singlish. It was so natural. Today, it's got to be a campaign. It's got to be, something. But this is so Singlish and the Malaysian version, Manglish, is very different. It's just like our food. It looks, it hears, it sounds the same, but it's very different. So we shouldn't be losing that, because it's very, very part of us.
There are different nuances, right? The nuances.
One sentence I can have SEMO languages in there. No? One just say something and you got SEMO on there. No?
Yeah.
So, why you so like that? Yeah, man.
why you so like that? Was
who's that?
Siva Choi.
Siva Choi. Yeah, bless him.
Yeah.
Bless him.
Yeah.
I give you all my Kit Kat. You never give me back. Why you so like that? Why you so like that? Where you need such songs like this now? When I played to my nephews, it was so thrilled. Wow, really? I got people sing like that, and they went to memorize the whole song.
Yeah.
They even mime. Why you so like that? Why you so like that? We are losing it. We are losing a lot of our. If you look around today, we are losing a lot of our physical memories and heritage. They are unblocking our childhood. They're taking away all these old little estates. You can just expect them to grow grass for a while, and then this URA sign will come up, to the highest bidder for another mall or condo. They're doing it at Tanglin Halt. They've really torn down so many places. I think we should stop it and let some place for older generations to remember and associate this land that they live in with, and connect it with another child. Kids can say, that's where my grandfather, I'm going to take you to where my grandfather took me to when I was a kid at Beef Ball Cricket. Nobody can say that. Not very many people can say that.
Yeah.
Cultures that are disappearing, I think it's like the Peranakan culture that's also disappearing. So that's being affected. I mean, I talked to my friends from Malaysia. I know this friend of mine she's the director of the Penang Peranakan Museum, where they had the the little Nyonya being filmed there. And she said to me, yes, we really have to preserve the culture because it's going to die off. I mean, we talk like that. So, I write books for children. So the latest one, I introduced a bit of the Peranakan culture. So people said to me, why are you doing that? I said, because I also write about tapirs, and tapirs are endangered animal. Not only that, so I got my tapirs to wear, sarong kebaya. They said, the female tapirs are wearing sarong kebaya. Why that? I said, because the tapirs are endangered. This culture is also endangered. So we need to revive this, So I mean, it's very awful when you say Seymour, the others, okay, so we are Chinese, but we're also Peranakan people. Thank goodness we're not called others. But actually it is others because it is not quite really a Chinese culture because the melange is
OCBC,
it's a melting pot, right, of different things. So that's the way I look at it. So we've lost that. We're going to lose that as well. So with all this sort of modernization and all that's going to disappear. I mean, I see that even in our family, like the younger generation, nobody really knows how to speak Malay because why? Everybody's speaking Mandarin and English. Talk about dialect, which is what Shirley was saying. That's also losing out. So this is what's happening in the modern generation. Whereas in the 70s, we can have different dialects also. You see. So I mean that's just my input. That's what I feel. Sorry.
No,
back
that's
in
fine.
the day, back in the day, you wanted to decorate your restaurant with some retro bits. You go Sungai Road. Half a day later, enough stuff. Then he took away Sungai Road. Why can't he just relocate? I don't understand. Now I understand they made them pay rent in some far-fetched ulu corner in Woodlands where nobody goes to, But when I went there, I said, yeah, this is the you could connect to an era in Singapore, the things that people use, like this one. I didn't buy it there. Somebody threw this away. All about dapat now,
Sungai Road relocated anywhere is just not Sungai Road.
Correct.
Yeah, you just don't have the feel.
Yeah.
There's just no feel, you relocate it someplace, let's say even with roof, with aircon, it's just not it.
And the place, when you go there and you bargain, it actually works, bargain till the cows come home. They love it. They just want to get rid of their stock.
It's the ambiance, right?
Okay. Hey, I think Adrian has to run off. I think some of us have to head off and do other things. But it was wonderful having you guys here. Thank you so much for accepting my request for you to be on this chat. It was an experiment. I had no notion of what would transpire, but I think what a wonderful flood of memories and experiences. It was delightful. It was lovely to be able to hear all these little anecdotes and that constant flow of information from the audience as well, with filling in all the gaps. Super stuff. I think this is a great way to remember and recall, and I think I'll try and continue doing more of these so that we, in our own way, can keep some of the old memories going. Yeah.
Good one.
Thanks so much, all of you. Thank you so much.